Hi guys, Akiba from CryptoSlate here. Today I've got Narek from CoinStats with me. Hello Narek, how you doing?
Hey man, doing great, thank you, and great to be here.
Yeah, we've been trying to catch up for a couple of weeks. It's been a bit of a hectic time over there at CoinStats. What's it? Is it calmed down a bit now?
Yeah, it was a bit hectic last month because we made a few important releases for us,
Yeah.
including the swap features and CoinStats rewards, and doing some PR announcements. But now it's a bit calmed down. We are preparing for the next big release in a week or two. It's going to be great, I promise.
Fantastic. So, I mean, I've personally actually been using the CoinStats app for I think since early 2021, I think. So yeah. So personally, I mean, I've got to say, just from my point of view, I think it's the best app around. But I'm slightly biased because I've been using it for a long time. But I went through trying to find lots of different apps, and I think one of the things that really got me, and everyone's got their own little niche, is at the time I was using Binance Earn, and you were the only app that would allow that pulled the data from Binance Earn into a portfolio. No one else was doing that at all. Is that the sort of thing that you look for? Is trying to find what the API can do, what other people are missing?
Yeah, and one of the reasons, to be honest, we have Binance Earn is that we have a lot of users asking for that. The way we prioritize some of the API connection uh, accounts we connect to is based through our community and through our users just asking for that. Uh, and as far as I know, we don't support for now flexible earn on Binance or
Hmm.
fixed earns, but we are also working on that. But in fact, we are the best and fastest platform to sync with Binance. Binance, I don't know intentionally or not, made their APIs incredibly hard for platforms like us, and it
Hmm.
takes us a lot of time to sync with them. And especially considering we have over 300,000 accounts synced to CoinStats, Binance accounts synced to
Wow, that's a
CoinStats,
lot.
that makes even more complicated. I don't think any other company has that many amount of Binance accounts connected. In fact, Binance is number one exchange or wallet connected to CoinStats.
Wow, very cool. So, one of these, a question I like to ask founders, because sometimes it gets missed, is what does CoinStats mean to you?
That's a great question. I wasn't kind of prepared for that. CoinStats probably means to me to be able to innovate in a very unknown environment of Web3 and crypto,
Hmm.
and being able to create something in an environment which would potentially grow to something bigger in the future. Everyone is talking about DeFi being the future of finances, Web3 being how people will interact
Hmm.
with crypto in the future and with the internet in the future. And that's one of the reasons we are focusing now in building more Web3 and decentralized finance features
Hmm.
into CoinStats, is to be able to innovate in that highly opportunistic and highly risky, although with high reward
Hmm.
environment.
I mean,
And that creates a huge challenge, I guess, being able to challenge playing the game in the hardest level possible. That's what it means to me.
the Dark Souls of Web3.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you mentioned that about sort of the progression. I know that on some of your literature recently, you've said that you're going to be the front page of DeFi. So what does that mean?
Uh, what we meant under the front page of DeFi is that we know DeFi, it's an environment, it's a group of highly talented teams who create super innovative protocols for doing some financial activities,
Hmm.
earning yield or simply swapping one coin to another, uh, and that being trusted, decentralized, etc. The biggest problem of the DeFi is that most of the money in DeFi is smart money. I mean, that's why on top of my head, there are only like 4 million monthly active wallets connected and interacting with any of DeFi protocol. 80% of that is Uniswap, only 4 million. And that being said, retail, regular people aren't using DeFi. But for the sphere to grow, uh, and it will grow. The retail will eventually start using DeFi. How they'll use it? They'll probably use some common interface rather than visiting each of the DeFi application website, and those teams won't have a need to create their own front ends, because those teams are kind of focused on the protocol. They're good at protocol. They're not good at user experience design. They're not good at product management and designing a nice application people would use. They are very good at finances, economy, how their protocol would work, and they're focused on that. Most of the DeFi front ends we see is just a website, minimally done to be able to interact with their protocol. So we want to give our customers opportunity to easily interact with DeFi protocols, easily research and find trusted protocols, and easily interact and get the most out of those financial opportunities DeFi offer. And one of the biggest financial opportunity to me is obviously being able to invest in projects before they hit to the big exchanges, right? When some project is already on Binance, when some coin is already on Binance, it's highly unlikely you'll make 10,000x on that. But if you are investing into some project which is 10 million market cap, etc., it's pretty good investment. Obviously, by doing your research, etc., etc.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And another opportunity is obviously earning yield on your funds. You mentioned Binance Earn, but it only gives, on top of my head, like 3% APY on your stable coins or something like that, or 2%. I think they advertise it as up to 10%, but it's 10% only for your first $500 or something.
Yeah, so, I've not used it in a while. I've moved away from it, but it used to be that it was all the fixed rates were where the yield was.
Yeah, and there are a lot of protocols on DeFi which offer a lot higher yield. Not to mention the most popular currently UST on Terra, which offers 19-something% on stablecoin. And as a retail user, as a person who is not like active in crypto, is not on Discords and Twitters, it would have been significantly harder for him to find those opportunities and figure out the ways without getting scammed, use them.
Yeah.
That's what we would offer, manually handpicking the great opportunities and giving easy UI to get the most out of those opportunities on financial side. And in the future, it may evolve to something bigger, something more than just finances. But unfortunately, right now, the biggest and the only use case of blockchain is finances. Even games are like financial applications, like buying stuff, in-app items on games. It's only kind of finance.
I mean, you've got the art collection aspect of NFTs, but again, a lot of people are doing that as an investment as well, aren't they? So you're utilizing, because I know that I've used, you've got a live swap feature now, don't you, where you can swap tokens through the app, and I've tried that out. And what's quite interesting is obviously because I've connected all my wallets to my CoinStats app, I get to essentially select from my wallets which wallet I want to swap from. That's quite an interesting concept. So is that the similar thing that you're looking to implement with the DeFi side?
Yeah, the way any Web3 interaction would work on CoinStats is that you either select one of your existing third-party wallets to interact with DeFi with, be that via swap or earn, or if you don't have a third-party wallet or don't want using them, you can always use CoinStats wallet, which we built in order to be able to advertise those great opportunities on DeFi for new people, new investors into crypto who don't have MetaMask and trust. MetaMask is only 20 million monthly active users or something like that, and everyone is using MetaMask, also based on our data. Although there are a lot of improvements to be done on that side too. So yeah, and that feature to be able to select which wallet you want to swap with easily from our UI, and being able to have multiple wallets connected to CoinStats and actively connected to CoinStats to swap with is another another unique value proposition we have over the other platforms to swap, on top of just being able to swap where you are tracking your funds from. I mean,
So
you
if I'm
obviously
right,
could go to, yeah,
so the CoinStats wallet, I think is Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Matic, well Polygon,
Polygon,
Bitgot,
yeah.
and Avalanche.
Uh, I think we're launching Avalanche soon. We are also launching Solana, and we hope to launch as many chains as possible there. That's
Mm-hmm.
why we might consider using some third party for that. But again, my vision towards those many EVMs on chains is that the end user shouldn't know what chain they are interacting for. Right now, our swap feature we have is not cross chain. So if you want to buy some coin which is on Binance Smart Chain, you have to use Binance Coin. You can't exchange your Ethereum to that coin. The way we envision it is that you just connect your wallet, you select whatever coin you have on whatever chain, and it swaps to whatever coin you want to invest in whatever chain it is, and it all happens in background without you selecting the chains,
Mm-hmm.
etc. I mean, they're all talking about retail, and if retail figures out there are 200 chains to select from, they would get really stuck. And our system would automatically suggest the best chain, this coin has the most liquidity on, etc., etc. The
Okay.
same applies to Earn. I mean, the way we envision our Earn feature to work is user deposits whatever USDT they have on whatever chain, and it automatically will bridge to Terra, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there are a lot of complications on that, and we are working on it, starting from the security of bridges, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure it's highly secure.
Fantastic. So, how are you feeling? I know you had the big Spark event, and your marketing for that worked quite
Hey,
well.
sorry, I have some technical issues. We should
Okay.
probably pause and restart. Uh, your voice is robotic right now for me, and I think it's something wrong on my side. It's fine, right?
Okay. Let me just restart.
I'll have to restart, I guess.
Okay. Hello.
Hello, yeah, I just refreshed the web page and it's all fine now.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, we
So
can. All right, no
yeah, yeah.
worries.
Well, I can cut in. That's no problem. So you recently said had the PR event, the big Spark event, and I was looking in on that myself several days before, and you had like literally hundreds of people in a waiting room on YouTube waiting for the stream to start for like 2 or 3 days before. Like that's absolutely crazy. Have you been surprised how the community feedback around everything that's been happening? Has that surprised you or?
Uh, To be honest, that wasn't surprising too much because we announced that event to over 1 million active users of CoinStats. And being more honest, we were expecting more live views than we got. I don't remember the exact number, but we were expecting like a few thousand-ish. But we only get like 1,000 live views. But
Which is really
obviously,
solid. I mean, for a live stream,
yeah,
that's very solid. Yeah.
yeah, I get that. I mean, it was also our first experience. It was
Hmm.
also kind of, we weren't really professional hosts, etc., to keep up the audience really interested. But yeah, we did our best, and we are figuring out the right ways to improve the live streams to keep the audience more engaged with us, etc., etc. Besides that, we always have a huge community behind CoinStats. We've been in the market since 2017.
Hmm.
Uh, and a lot of people are using us for 4 or 5 years already,
Hmm.
and yeah, they are, well, many of them are already millionaires and stuff, so imagine
Hmm.
being in crypto from 2017. But
Hmm.
also they are thankful to CoinStats being able to stay on top of their funds. And yeah, and community management is highest priority of CoinStats. We are doing a lot of activities to keep up and engage with our community and reward the most engaged users of our community and our app.
Hmm.
That's also the reason we released CoinStats rewards, and a lot of exciting rewards are coming. I just went over 20 reward ideas we had today and releasing a couple of them soon.
That's brilliant. So yeah, so these are the sparks, and I do remember, I don't know whether you meant to say or not, but in the live stream I was watching, and you mentioned that maybe one day the sparks could turn into its own token.
Yeah, that maybe. I mean, being honest, there are no plans around that.
Mhm.
Uh, but I would recommend to keep up the Spark tokens, and maybe in the future they'll end up being uh, the real cryptocurrency. The reason it's not right now. We should figure out the right utility. We should potentially figure out how we become a DAO and
Mhm.
make those tokens really have the real utility and value behind it, not just advertise as a great investment and people be a next pump and dump coin.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's always been around. And obviously, a lot of the most Spark owners will get an airdrop, and most engaged users of us will get an airdrop if we end up releasing a token. But again, it's not something that's happening this year for sure.
Mhm.
But I'm sure if we grow further, it will happen sooner or later.
So is the thinking there that maybe, as you mentioned in terms of a DAO, that you could form a DAO out of Spark tokens where engaged users are getting a say in how the companies run?
Exactly. I mean, one of the ways we could potentially exit CoinStats is make it a DAO, make it a public crypto company,
Mhm.
and release those governance tokens and community to govern how we envision the future of CoinStats. Uh, and hopefully that will go on that way, because like doing an IPO as a company who touches DeFi is not really possible.
Mhm.
But I want to mention that Coinbase, a public company releasing a decentralized NFT marketplace, was super bullish for whole industry, because it's decentralized. You can buy $100 million worth of NFT without QYC. And if
Mhm.
SEC agreed to kind of approve that, that's a really bullish sign that
Mhm.
more the US regulators will be more open to decentralized financial transactions. Uh, and to be honest, there's not much difference between a decentralized NFT marketplace and a decentralized exchange. It's just the ERC 721
Yeah. Versus.
versus ERC
Yeah.
20. I mean,
Mhm.
it's the same. You're just exchanging this token to that token,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's really bullish.
So, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned along the way so far, given that you've touched so many different exchanges and so many different areas of Web3 with what you do?
There are a few I would like to mention. The biggest lesson in terms of running a startup and a company, I would I would say, is that the biggest mistake we've made is that we didn't raise funds early enough. For example, we started CoinStat 2017, and after a few months, it's already profitable. It was already making some revenue. We could keep some of the team, etc. But we were in that comfort zone for like 2 3 years,
Mhm.
and and it was like only 10 people team, and the growth was really hard. We should have raised right at the time of opportunity, maybe 2018 bull market.
Mhm.
And in the bull market, where you're raising at much higher valuation than your realities,
Mhm.
and push on growth. Rather than we bootstrapped and figured out that mistake only early last year and decided to do real quick to funding rounds, and we are starting a new round now. That in terms of running startup, that can apply to any other startup in
Mhm.
crypto or not. But in terms of being in Web3 and DeFi in crypto, just use the opportunity. I mean, we have obviously used a lot of opportunities we had. We were super early in the market, etc. But in this market, you should be real quick on things like NFTs are on hype. You should come up with your NFT startup idea in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Not focus on anything else, just building your MVP and pushing it on the market,
Mhm.
because figuring out the right product market fit, you doing user research, etc. That doesn't really work in this environment because it's changing so fast. It's super early market, and users' opinion change so fast. And it's maybe cliche to say, but in this market, people don't really know what they need. I mean, it's cliche. Steve Jobs is saying, but but yeah, I mean, this market is early. Just build stuff. A super good example is Jam XYZ. They built maybe 6 months ago and sold to OpenSea in 6 months because they just built stuff real quick, be quick and build. That would I would advise to any entrepreneur in this area.
Very cool. So, one other question which I was going to ask earlier, but I forgot. In some of your marketing, you mentioned that there's over 500 billion in crypto being managed through CoinStats, but only 20 billion confirmed via APY. So, is the rest of that gap where people are using manual portfolios, so you can't verify whether it's right or not?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, a lot of our users, although we had this API connection functionality, and the most engaged users who are paying us a subscription fee, who are using us day to day, use the connection to APIs feature. But still, we have a lot of users who track their portfolios manually, who enter their transactions manually, which, to be honest, is like a past stage for me. And we paused innovating in that area. We don't create any new features in manual transactions area. But although still a lot of people use that, and there are a lot of ways we calculate the total holdings number, because we have users who come to an app and add they have 10 million Bitcoins, which is like, I don't know, $20 trillion or something. It's not 20 trillion, it's like 200 billion by one user. So we filter out that data. And if you filter out portfolios which are more than $1 million, it ends up being 100 billion. And if you filter out portfolios which are more than $100 million, it ends up being around 500 each. So the data needs to have a closer look, but still a lot of users, that data is significantly much more precise than it seems to, because a lot of people add their transactions daily. On top of my head, I think there are about 50,000 manual transactions added every day to CoinStats. Although we push all of our users to sync their accounts, which is super safe. We are taking security with the highest priority. It's close to impossible to hack. We are passing multiple quarterly audits of the AQIs to make sure no data could leak, etc. Although still a lot of our users get hacked, not because of us, but because of them using other accounts or their data being leaked to on other platforms. They're getting phone calls, etc., etc. And yeah, we are getting complaints from our users that they got hacked on other platforms a few times a day, unfortunately.
That's a shame, and that's why you're thinking that being, say, the front page of DeFi, you could help people by you having the connections to the platforms and allow them just to come to your app and know that, okay, this is the app that I can trust.
Yeah, exactly. And that involves obviously a lot of trust, and we are trying to build this trust a lot. And we haven't had any security incident for many years already. And yeah, obviously we are taking security with the highest priority possible. And that's why some teams may go on slower than they used to go on like 5 years ago, for example, for us. Because 5 years ago, hey, we need a Binance connection, then we code in a day, which might sound simple, but if you want a secure Binance connection, it might take a couple of months to make sure it's highly secure. No one can get the user data.
Fantastic. I mean, one of the things that I would just say personally, that I use manual portfolios where you don't have connections. So like Swissborg, Nexo. I can input the CSVs, but that's still a pain. So
Nexo CSV is something which our team is going crazy on, because they change their CSV format once a week. So, but we are doing our best to support them, and yeah, it's really handy when it comes to tracking your precise data, precise transactions, and you don't have to input manually. I'm using CSV myself to crypto.com. They don't provide API. And yeah, that's pretty handy. Especially I'm not trading on crypto.com often, never.
Well, by the sounds of it, you'll be getting less yield in your CSVs as of yesterday. They slashed all their rates, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's a shame. All right, brilliant. Well, Narek, thank you very much for joining me. I personally love the app, and I think it was a really good insight. So you've been in the space for a long time, seeing where CoinStats is going, and yeah, it'll be really interesting. When do all the other DeFi features come out? Because they're not there yet, are they?
The DeFi Earn is coming out in probably a couple of weeks.
Okay.
It's on the highest priority development right now, and I don't know if you can see the team, etc. They're probably figuring out how to technically work on this or that simple thing. And yeah, hopefully it will come in a week or two. We have it designed, we have it ready. It's on iOS, Android boards. Really working hard to have it ASAP, and will launch with 3 or 4 protocols on Ethereum, giving yield on stable coins and Ethereum. And then with the way we did it, we can easily integrate your protocols with like in a day or something. And yeah, in the future, maybe protocols themselves would like to implement our interface and integrate themselves to CoinStats. That's the vision behind it. So yeah, hopefully it's gonna be blessed too.
Brilliant. Looking forward to it, and I'll be using it myself. Have a great day, and thank you very much for joining us.